What's up, everybody? My name is Jesse, and welcome to the Jess Takes a Village podcast, where we focus on regular people who have used their education, whether it be formal, vocational, or even life experiences, to propel their lives in a positive direction. Now, today on the show, we have one of the most accomplished people, one of the most accomplished people that I know up to date. Now, in this case, I find this person to be very interesting. And one of the reasons why I asked Jasmine to come on the show is because I feel as if Jasmine has a message not only for women, but for minorities, and just for those people who just want to go out there and push the line the right way. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Jasmine to the village. So, if you can't tell by the undeniable resemblance, this is my younger sister.
Hi.
We just met last week and we found out you're wrong show. But Jasmine, thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day, because I know you're always in this country and that country. But thank you, just for scheduling that time to come and meet with me and actually support my newest venture.
Anything for my number one fan.
I feel you. So, Jasmine, I've been starting off these interviews, with just asking people to tell me a little bit about themselves and basically how you navigated to where you're at today. But before, you start at the beginning, I want you to start where you're at now. Then I want you to kind of go back and tell like the in-between areas. So if you could tell everybody right now, what is it exactly that you do for a living?
I'm a flight attendant for an airline.
Okay.
Won't disclose that.
Yeah, you don't gotta disclose that. How long have you been a flight attendant for now?
A year and 6 months.
A year and 6 months. And as far as the flight attending goes, what are like some pros and cons, about the job? What are some pros and cons?
Pros is that you get to travel, experience different cultures.
Right.
I really get to practice my Spanish in areas that I may not have as much time to do so, like in everyday experiences in New York.
Right.
I also get to meet different people from all over the place. And I'm not even just talking about when I land in whatever country that I'm in.
Right.
People that I meet on the plane. People that also are flight attendants from other places. So that's really cool.
So it's like a universal network,
Yeah.
of just flight attendants.
Yeah.
Have you been able to go to countries that you've dreamed of going to, or are all of those things still like on like your list? So I assume like when you started this job, you say, you know what, one of my dreams is to go here. Were you able to go to there as of?
In my free time, not necessarily for work, but
right.
With the benefits that I have now, I can honestly just pick up and go somewhere if I wanted to.
Okay. Now, since you've been, I guess, flight attending, and I guess
flying.
like that, flying. Sorry, since you've been flying, now you told me the pros. What are some of like?
Another pro is flexibility, by the way.
What does flexibility mean to you? Let's like get into that.
Free time to do whatever I want in my free time.
Right.
As in, for example, I've been talking about possibly moving to Colombia.
Right.
So if I wanted to, I could work the last 15 days of the month and
right.
the first 15 days of the following month, and then I'd essentially be off for an entire month in a different country.
Oh, so you figured out a way to like scale
to live somewhere else and still work my job. Yeah.
In America.
Yeah.
Wow. Is that like something like you figured out as you were going along, or did somebody like teach it to you?
Again, talking to other people. I know a guy that lives in Brazil and he works in my company, and he said that's exactly how he does it. So he's able to get all of his hours in
right.
for the month, essentially in about 15 days.
Right.
And then he gets to spend an entire month at home.
Okay. So, wow, those are like
in a different country.
Yeah, those are like unbelievable. Like, I'm tired of here.
It's really a lifestyle change. Yeah.
That much of a lifestyle change. So you explain the pros. What are like some cons?
Money.
Money.
I don't get paid nearly enough. But other cons that I didn't think I would experience was more so being away from home a lot. I didn't think I'd care. Now that I'm not home, it's like, damn, my favorite place to be is my bed.
I mean, there's no other, like, listen, I always tell people, when you go on vacation, part of the reasons why I'm more of like a hotel guy versus B&B, I love coming back home and the room is clean.
Yeah.
But even with that king size bed, nothing beats your bed.
Yo, there's really no place like home.
No, because there's like a little separate section in your bed that that once you lay in that particular spot, game over.
You get like vacation fatigue after a while. Since I'm constantly on the go.
I wonder if rich people think like that. I'm traveling too much.
Maybe.
Send me back.
Maybe.
Could be.
When I work like turns, so for example, I'll fly somewhere and fly directly back.
Right.
There's people that when they leave, coming back to JFK, before we got like our shuttle and stuff, you'd literally be inside of the airport up until you got off the air train going to the parking lot.
And so hell no.
I'd walk outside, I'd get fresh air because I'm sitting there breathing like recycled air for 14 hours.
I ain't gonna lie, if you've been breathing in that air, you have like the world's strongest lungs.
That's another thing. That's another pro actually. As somebody, I feel like I have the immune system of a premature child. You would know.
Damn.
But
damn.
I'm sorry.
Continue. It's whatever. We'll disclose that later.
But having worked this job, I don't get sick as much as I used to, and I'm somebody that gets sick multiple times a year.
Well, I guess all the chemicals found a way to like boost your immune system.
Yeah.
So, this is where you're at. How do you feel?
I feel good.
You feel good.
For a job that lacks stability, I'm still feeling pretty stable.
Damn.
Yeah.
So, what does stability mean to you?
Stability is, to me, I'd say having the knowledge to know what's going on and what's coming. So for a job where it's like delays happen, flights get canceled. I just got modified for a trip next month, which is wild because we didn't even get there yet and y'all already changing stuff.
The future.
Yeah. But for a job where you never really know what's happening, it's forced me to ground myself in the present. So I have to focus on exactly what's going on right now. And it's taught me to let go of control. And it's forced me to be more stable in the aspects where I do have control as opposed to trying to control everything in my life.
So I feel like you're learning more about yourself through a little bit of the chaos.
Yes, I'm very extroverted. This job has forced me to be more introverted. I am spending so much more time alone on layovers.
Yeah.
But I don't really like talking to my coworkers all that much.
Listen, it happens because you know what it is? Over the last couple of years, I've been like more aware of social batteries, right? And apparently people, I don't know, maybe my social battery is always on 99, except for those multiple times throughout the year I wake up with, it doesn't matter, but
it matters.
So it's like when your social batteries conk out, you really need that time to like reset because and rejuvenate because you're giving so much at these jobs in terms of the energy, the time you spent there, what weighs on your brain after like a long day, So it's like I always have the utmost respect for people. I don't want to categorize what you do as customer service, but it has so many hints of having to give yourself.
Customer service for sure. It's definitely layered though.
Very.
I'd say it's layered. I will say there are people that I work with who expect the other flight attendants to entertain them. I'm somebody, I get on the plane, I got a book, I got something to watch, I got a game to play. I'm perfectly fine sitting in a corner and being by myself. Do you take the switch?
You take the switch?
Nah. I know people who do take their switch. They bring Uno cards. They bring tons of stuff.
Yeah.
I know somebody that packed the hookah for their layovers. They bring tons of stuff.
I could guess where that person is from. But
they bring tons of stuff.
I could guess exactly where that.
But there are definitely people that like expect you to speak to them for 6, 7 hours. I asked somebody that once. I'm like, you don't bring anything on the plane? He's like, nah, I just talk the whole time. Like,
I mean, listen, I get it. But as long as people understand, like, it has to be like a balance, Just like you don't want to be dealing with people for like, 6 hours a day. Because I personally know somebody who gets up, who goes to work and has to deal with 30 little people on a day-to-day basis. And it's just like...
But you have an escape.
That's not... We're not talking about me.
Well, but like... You understand? I'm in a metal tube in the sky. It is a form of abuse when I walk away from you and I can't get away because I come back.
Put it in air quotes because you never know who's
alleged.
I
come back to the same conversation that I tried to get away from.
Sheesh.
I already told people I'm mailing out invoices at the end of the year for the therapy that I've been giving.
Jeez Louise. So you're a flight attendant.
Yeah.
Now, take me as far back as to when you had your first job.
We had the same job.
Yes, we did.
First job was the same job. As all younger siblings do, they want to follow in their older siblings' footsteps. So we both worked at the same daycare. Obviously, you
/after school /summer
camp.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right?
You grasped something from that I didn't. I didn't have that hug moment. That hug that changed the world.
Hug, it was you're going to be poor forever.
I never.
You're going to love what you do.
Yeah, not my life.
Listen, I get it.
But I will say, something that I did receive there was my ability to interact with people my age, people older than me, people younger than me.
So what she's basically referring to is when we were children, our mother sent us to tutoring, right? Just to sharpen and hone our skills. Wasn't that we were lacking or deficient, but because of our parents always believed in staying sharp. So I was there for tutoring, and then I was there for a couple years. Then I started working there, and then my sister, who was there when I was working there, eventually started working over the summer too. Also at 13. So, 13. You hear the keyword 13. Not 18, not 16, but we'll get into the numerology later. So you're at the summer camp.
Yeah.
You leave. You're in high school?
Yeah.
Now, high school was the first time I realized you were like a multi-athlete. I've never known this.
I didn't even notice until you pointed it out.
Like, what were you? Let the world know what you were doing in high school.
Anything I could get my hands on.
But like, explain to them, like, give them the sports.
Tried out for cheerleading, swim team, softball, lacrosse. I never stuck around. I just try out, make the team, and then I didn't go back. The only thing that I actually stuck with was swimming.
Yeah.
And then I got a job, so I couldn't join any more after school
And
programs.
what were you doing at that time?
I was working at Burger King.
Yes, the Burger King days.
Yeah.
What was Burger King's pay like? What was the environment like?
Burger King is a lot like, the way Subway's promoted in commercials? The people that you see in the commercials.
Yeah.
And then you walk into an actual Subway and the people that are working there look nothing like the people that you see in the commercials. That's Burger King in a nutshell.
It is.
It was a great environment. I got to work with Dernella.
Yeah, that's a fact.
First and last time we ever worked together.
Shout out Dernella. Yeah.
Shout out Dernella.
Yeah.
First and last time we ever worked together. The environment, it was fine. It's a job. Everything has always been just a job. I'm there to make money and I'm there to go. But pay, I think we were making like $9.50 maybe. I have no recollection. I think it was like $9.50 maybe.
Between
$10.
you, mommy, and everybody else, it's like those early stages of working in the job
force. It's like a fever dream.
It's like let me just wipe this from the hard drive. So you're at Burger King, customer service, right? You're dealing with, Lord knows what you're seeing in the Burger King. Put it in quotes. I don't want nobody come sue you. I don't want nobody come sue me. So you're in this Burger King. When do you realize, I don't want to say that you got bigger than the Burger King. When do you realize, like, yo, I need to, like, take a whole different career path?
Burger King was the first, and aside from, like, the off-the-book shop, Burger King was the first and only job that I worked that I never moved up in the company. Yeah, every other job that I've worked in, I've moved up.
And that was just, so I'm assuming that you're somebody, some people could work a position, but once the money's right, they're like content. They're going to say, yo, you know what? I'm good. I can mac out. I could chill. I
like being in charge. I'm somebody that likes being in charge. Because I feel like a lot of the times you work a job, and I'm sure anybody can relate to this. You work something and you're looking at it from the outside in. So you have ideas of how things could be better.
And then as soon as you want that position, not for greed, but sometimes,
make my life easier.
And implement change.
Yeah. If I was in charge, this is how XYZ would go.
Absolutely.
And it'd be better. But, so moving on from Burger King, I was in Chipotle the entirety of my college career, except for like one semester.
And where'd you go to school?
I went to LaGuardia for the first 2 years where I graduated with my associates.
For free? Continue.
And then I went to Brooklyn College where I got my bachelor's.
For free? For free?
Not free.
Imagine.
I just graduated debt free.
Imagine. Some of us had to pay.
Imagine
Some of us had to fight financially just so their younger siblings could. But in all seriousness, you're in Chipotle.
Mm-hmm.
What about Chipotle made you say, yo, you know what? I like it here. Let me stay here for a little bit. What did you experience in Chipotle?
Chipotle was the first time that I was introduced to Mexican culture. And not like, because Chipotle is Tex-Mex, but it started in like, California?
Outside, because you have to give Carlos credit. Outside of Carlos.
Yes.
Outside of Carlos.
But let me change the word introduced to ingrained.
Okay, good. That's a way better word.
I met Carlos, but I didn't live with Carlos the way you lived with Carlos.
So for those who don't know, I have a Mexican godfather.
No, he has a Mexican family.
I do. I do. I have a Mexican godfather and a Dominican godmother. But you remember, we're 3 years apart. So when I'm there at this time, she's like a lot younger, but she's now ingrained through Chipotle.
Yes.
Now, what are you learning, and how quick are you learning?
All the bad words in Spanish. All of them.
Jesus Louise.
Real quick.
But I learned the recipes.
Nah, I learned recipes. I learned how to cut food. I'm cursing for sure.
I mean, your knife game is crazy.
It is.
Your knife game with the onions, the cilantro, the tomatoes, your knife game is immaculate. But what else?
I'm just learning how to, first of all, take orders and reply to people in Spanish. This is my first time actually speaking Spanish outside of high school. And that's also where I learned that, like, there are people who speak Spanish but can't necessarily write or read Spanish.
Right.
And I thought whoever spoke Spanish was able to do those things.
Think about it like English. How many people could speak English
and write English?
There. Not in this country. But so you're ingrained in a. You see, here's where I don't want to cross the line with our family's culture. I don't want to say that this is the first time you're ingrained in quote unquote Latin culture, but this is the first time you get to be as proficient as.
And I have recollection.
And you have recollection.
Yeah.
Right. So another thing that I feel like is important to share is our older sister understands Spanish. I speak, read, write Spanish. She now proficiently. She now speaks and is learning how to read.
Yeah.
I would right.
My reading's actually pretty good. I'm always so shocked on Duolingo when I gotta read a little paragraph.
I believe you. Shout out Duolingo.
Shout out Duolingo for sure. My streak is like 296.
Honestly though, I feel as if you were honestly 2 years older at the time when I started learning, you would have been fine.
Yeah.
But I listen, I still tell you to your face, I feel like your Spanish is superb. Your Spanish is fine. People just gotta speak. Once you speak, it's literally just speaking. So you're at Chipotle, you're now becoming proficient in another language. Mm-hmm. You're taking these orders. You're meeting people. Mm-hmm. You're dealing with customers. What at that place says, I need to be in management? What are you noticing?
I'm noticing that there's room for improvement. Mm-hmm. The benefits are also really good.
Would you mention throw a few out there?
Chipotle has tuition reimbursement up to $5.6K, I believe, which is how I was able to graduate from school debt free. So
what does I understand, but explain, what does the reimbursement do?
So I paid one semester, and as long as you graduate and all of your grades are above a C, I believe, C or C+.
2.5.
Could have been different. It can be different now. I'm not entirely sure. I've been there in a while. But as long as your grades are above a C, then you're able to send in a form and they reimburse you for the money. But this also includes like textbooks, any supplies that you got for school. As long as you keep your receipts and you have like the itemized photos and stuff, then you're perfectly fine. And I paid one semester for school, and you get your benefits after 6 months of working.
Yeah.
So one semester of school, and then I got the tuition reimbursement back.
Like, I feel like that's another underrated thing. Like, when people go on these hunts for jobs,
they don't look at benefits.
They don't look at benefits. And I tell people sometimes the pay won't be what the pay is, but the benefits will take care of you.
Like my job now.
Yeah, well, even up till now, but you see, the whole thing about it is, as I always have to refer back to why I started this podcast, was to show some type of growth through any form of education. Do you know how underrated it is for a job to actually sit there and reimburse you just so you could finish your education?
And especially most jobs that offer those types of services,
right?
They have specific majors that you can take.
Right.
A lot of them are like business, stuff like that. Chipotle did not care what I was majoring in. I was able to take any classes as long as I graduated. Right. Or passed the semester with like a specific grade point average or specific grades in certain classes, I was able to get my money back.
So you can only imagine another person in the world who's working or who's looking for a job and they just want to say, listen, I just need to put away a little bit just so I could get to a place where I could even get into school. It's like Chipotle's like the middleman. Mm-hmm. It's like the gateway. Chipotle, well, we don't know how it is now. I assume it's the same way, but Chipotle gave you that push to just go there and finish school.
Yeah, I was always going to finish school. This was just an added benefit. I'm somebody that enjoys being in school. Right. I couldn't imagine my life without school. I want to go back to school.
Yeah, me too.
Having graduated debt free, though, not gonna lie, I'm not interested in having to pay.
I mean, when me and you always have these debates, I always tell you, I don't mind sacrificing for the education because I know what it means to me. Mm-hmm. And I also know what it means to you. But what people don't know, which I wouldn't assume, what you are going to school for isn't what you got your degree in the beginning. Yeah. Explain to people what at first was your dream and at one point, why did it shift the way it did?
All right. Up all my life, actually. I didn't have a come to Jesus moment like you did. All my life, I wanted to be... All my life, I wanted to be a veterinarian. We've always grown up with like a farm in the backyard. We were known as the farm people.
People don't believe that this is the first time in life we've only had one dog.
Yeah, one dog, one cat, and a bird.
It's always been like 4 dogs, 5 dogs.
9, 13.
We also had a gerbil, a guinea pig named Chester. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Chester. I got no recollection of that. We've had 2 birds, actually.
Chester got dragged.
Yeah, by Mikey.
Yeah, outside.
I don't know who left the door open.
I mean, listen, that's...
The great debate. Anyway.
That's the story for another day, so...
Yeah, I've always wanted to be a veterinarian.
Right.
High school, I picked my specific high school because they had veterinary studies, even though it was like pretty far away.
Did you go to high school again?
Lincoln.
Oh, yeah. Right.
After that, I went to LaGuardia because they offered veterinary technician.
Yeah, the VTechs. Like yeah. Right.
And science was hard. Oh my goodness, science was difficult for me.
This is Brooklyn College days?
No, this is LaGuardia.
I don't know, for some reason I just couldn't. I understood why science was so difficult. Because, when you're applying to college, science is really the only 4 credit classes, and it comes with a lab.
But I will say, in LaGuardia, when I wanted to pass something, I was meeting with my specific microbiology teacher. Right. Well, it wasn't micro at the time, it was regular biology.
Yeah.
I met with him every single day when he had lunch. He'd sit down and he'd have tea. He was a Caribbean man. Sit down and have a nice tea, and I'd sit with him every single day. His name was Akash. Shout out to him. Every single day. And we'd go over questions for the quizzes. I think we had a quiz like every single week because it was one of those short semester courses. Every single day I sat with him for lunch. If he had office hours, I was in the room. And I still worked the entire time that I was in college. Yeah.
Because I guess how I look at it is...
And that changes things.
It does, but I don't know. I always feel as if it's a luxury to go to school, but it's an even bigger luxury to just be able to go to school. Because so many people I know was work, school, work. School, work, Mm-hmm. And even on those days where I guess some of our friends just wanted to be outside, they just took classes, just because, college is its own bubble, for lack of better terms, It's completely its own bubble. So that's how I look at it. That's how I interpreted it. So the scientists started messing you up. Not messing you up, but giving you a little bit of a...
I realized that I had an issue with science while in LaGuardia. But I put the work in. Yeah. I remember I passed my midterm with 100. This is biology too. And I emailed my professor back like, you sure this is me? I was so shocked. I couldn't believe at the time that I got 100. So fast forward, graduate LaGuardia. I think I ended up getting a B plus in the class. Microbiology, I ended up with a B, I believe. I entered Brooklyn College. Now I'm taking chemistry.
Were you at Ingersoll?
Chemistry. Yes. I think you know my professor. I can't remember her name, but we had a discussion at the time that I was in school. It's like a short white woman, blonde hair.
Yes, with the bob cut. Oh my God.
Yes.
She gave me bio. What bio was it? With the animal in the plant cells.
Yes.
And on the finals in the lecture hall, like, it was so crazy. Both pictures were black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And I called her over. You know, you raise your hand.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see the cells. She goes, you need to know the difference. And I'm like, they're both black and white. Like, oh, so I ended up getting a D in the class. I took my 3 credits and I took my 4 credits and I went about my business.
She pulled me in. Well, I've tried meeting with her.
Yeah.
And she said, and this is when things changed completely.
Right.
She said, you need to devote at least 5 hours a day to studying just the material. And this is before you even do the homework.
Yeah.
At least 5 hours a day just for the material. This is not one of those classes where you could coast by. And I remember I was doing the homework online, crying. Actually crying and stuffing my face with like mini powdered donuts in my room. I was like, yo, I don't think that I can do this. I'm working. I'm leaving school, going to work. I'm still at Chipotle at this point. I'm closing. I'm not getting home till 12 o'clock in the morning on a good day. Then I have to come home and do homework just to go right back to school the next day.
That experience. And listen, things happen for a reason, but that experience in that class kind of deterred you.
Yeah, it did.
It deters you. Now, granted, sometimes you get deterred for the right reasons and the wrong reasons. But I only ask myself, what would have happened if her teaching practices were a little different? And what if instead of 5, she told you specifically what to work on that you could have done in 2?
Or
so
even
you could have
broke
said,
it down.
because you know, the best currency we have is time.
Yes.
How you spend your time, who you spend your time with, it literally dictates the amount of your success in your lifetime. So I often ask myself, if she behaved, I'm not saying she was a bad person, but if she behaved a little bit different from you, where would you have been in your career? And that's happened to so many people. So many people get deterred, not because of themselves being lazy, but because of outside circumstances. You have environment, you have teachers, you have parents, all these outside pressures that kind of deter people from being who they're quote unquote meant to be. So as we reflect on the podcast, that's why I always like to separate it into formal, vocational, and life experiences. Because obviously you went through the schooling system, but look at the amount of life experiences you were able to apply into the real world. So you started off at Burger King. You need to get into management. You got to Chipotle. You're in management, but the school is weighing you down. At the end of the day, who do you choose? Do you choose Chipotle, or do you continue with school?
There was no choice. I like working.
Absolutely.
And I love school. I still had to pay each semester.
Right.
Well, I mean, I was getting financial aid. After the first semester, it was kind of like, you know, everything was just pocket money.
Send the checks.
But you mentioned that, like, the teaching practices could have changed things.
Mm-hmm.
In LaGuardia, I was still struggling with science.
Right.
But I was able, working the entire time, to meet with my professor on his breaks,
Accessibility.
on my breaks. And
God bless that guy.
A world of a difference.
It does.
Probably would have quit that much earlier, because I still went into Brooklyn College with my major being biology.
Right. So what was your major when you graduated?
Creative writing. English. But I do have a story.
Don't share it.
I was out with a friend.
Yeah.
From Chipotle. We were on our way to karaoke. It was like a thing we did every Friday. And if you're from New York, you know about the rats in the streets.
Yeah.
So we're all walking, pretty, like, kind of lit at this point already.
Yeah.
He stepped on one. And I burst into tears. And I'm saying to myself, this is a street rat. How am I supposed to take care of somebody's pet? How am I supposed to tell somebody your animal didn't make it?
Yeah. Damn.
I ain't have the heart for that.
A New York City street rat.
Over a street rat.
It took you out your spot.
Took me out the game.
So at that point you said, "No, I'm writing."
I was like, well, science is hard. And this kind of just, this was very like, okay, I don't even have the heart to like get to where I wanted to be.
Right.
So I was like, well, what else am I interested in? I considered psychology, been in therapy for how long now?
Yeah.
But
which is a healthy thing and a positive thing.
Absolutely.
And a normal thing.
I'm a big advocate for therapy.
Absolutely. The right kind
Absolutely.
of therapy. Absolutely.
But I found a document, a Google Doc from 2013.
Right? The hidden files. I should play the what's the show with the weird background music? The Z Files? Is it Z Files?
X-Files?
X-Files.
The Z Files. Yes. Yeah. So I found a Google Doc on my laptop. It was a story I was writing. Right. Again, for some odd reason, I had no recollection of writing it, but I know I started it in 2013, so I was still in high school at that point. Okay. And I think it had about 60-something pages. 11-sized font. So you know how much writing that.
You were starting a memoir. Jeez Louise.
And I found it, and I'm reading it. And this was before cringe became a word. But, oh my God, I'd never been so embarrassed reading something that I've written or anything like that.
Was it like the grammar, or was it just the overall like message?
I've always been good at grammar. Yeah. Grammar's never been an issue for me. It was just like the
Grammarly.com.
The story itself. I was like, ooh, like, I can't believe I wrote that. And I was like, I'm gonna continue it.
So be it. You know, one of the things I've appreciated about you is the kind of the relentless like attitude, because it's like, I remember when I don't want to take this from you, but I remember when you first gave me one of the short stories you were submitting. Yeah. And just to give like the audience a brief synopsis, right? You have this FBI agent, and I love this story like the most. You have an FBI agent who is tracking the serial killer. Yeah,
she goes into a bar.
And I love that. You made your main character a woman. Mm-hmm. And that's for, a whole different episode, but she was such a headstrong person, this character in your story.
He said they're all like that. They're like, what do you say, like battered women that are so strong.
Listen, they got nothing else left but to be strong. But she's chasing the serial killer down. Mm-hmm. They're in a bar. Yeah. And what you did really took that short story to the next level. You were able to tell it from both perspectives. Yeah. From two perspectives, one side of the FBI agent and the other side of the serial killer. Yeah. And I remember thinking to myself, like, mind you, I learned to enjoy reading as I've gotten older. But that just like, I was calling people, I'm like, nah, my sister got this story. Like, yo, like, this is like, it's fire. Even though you don't describe books as fire, but you understand what I'm saying? But it's like, you pushed yourself into a brand new field. Mm-hmm. You wrote this book. What happens next when you're done?
Well, that one's not done.
Oh.
You're referring to the last thing that I sent you when I was writing for school.
Okay,
for my fiction writing class.
Right.
But the other two stories that you've read,
yes, I remember,
were the ones that got published.
Well, that's still a big thing. Yeah. You're a published author.
You read Spilled Milk.
Yes.
And If This Is the Worst Thing That Could Happen.
Yes.
Yeah. So
that was some real like.
Yeah, Spilled Milk is about a mom who's in a relationship, abusive relationship, and she doesn't get out until her kid starts repeating the same behaviors of the father in school one day. That's when she decides like it's time to go. And these stories are very condensed because you have a 1,500 word limit. Right. So I like the challenge of that because you got to kind of get your point across in 3 pages, essentially. The second story, If This Is the Worst Thing That Could Happen, is about a mom who never planned to be a mom, and she ended up pregnant. And for a long time, she was, kind of pushing the pregnancy to the side because she's had a very tough life. Like she didn't want to bring a kid into this world. She suffered a lot. And she would always tell herself, well, if this is the worst thing that could happen, I'll be all right.
I mean, but honestly, like, damn, like.
Then she lost her baby. And if that was the worst thing that could happen, she'd be all right, but she wasn't.
It's so ironic. your whole life, you wanted to work with animals. Mm-hmm. This one professor and a street rat sends you off the rails. Yeah. And now you're a published author. Two-time, back to back. And you have a bachelor's. Yeah. And now you're a flight attendant. Yes. So, do you view yourself as successful? Do you feel the success?
I measure my success in small moments.
That's fair. Give me an example.
Being able to buy a car the day before I started work at the airport.
Talk your shit, young man.
Nah, it was really on some, like, give me something I could take off the lot today.
Off the what?
Off the lot. I still got plastic in my car. Like, brand new, a 2020
all from car. Your hard work.
Yeah.
All from the fruits of your labor.
I'm very good at saving money. That's one of my talents, I feel. Graduated school. Okay. Even as far as like signing up to be a flight attendant, I didn't fail any test in training. My success is measured in very small moments, not necessarily in the larger things that I've accomplished yet.
Right.
But
and I love how you said yet. Because it's loading.
Yeah, it's loading.
Some people in life are buffering.
Yeah.
But this is loading.
100 days on Duolingo was a big milestone for me. Because once I started, I just never stopped. Yeah. Like, there was never a minute where I was like, okay, no. I kept going every single day.
I have a love-hate relationship with Duolingo.
I know you do.
Because it's like, she'll text me, Jesse, it's time to learn Russian again. And I'm just like, please, niet. Not today. Please. But, so, at this point now, and this isn't going to be, I have 2 questions left to ask you because I know you're a busy person. And I know you're probably going to Brazil or Timbuktu tomorrow. But, shout out Africa. But my next question for you is, what does having support systems, or as on this podcast we like to call village members, what does having village members mean to you?
To be honest, and having watched like the other episodes, for me,
absolutely,
I'd like to ask myself, because I do reflect after watching the other episodes.
People don't know that you watch the other episodes, but
yeah, I do.
Spoiler: I sent her the episodes before they're out on YouTube.
Yeah. I like to ask myself, well, what makes a village to me?
Okay, so what are the components of your village?
Anything that has changed my life.
Good or bad? Just good?
Good and bad.
Okay. And
because everything has changed the trajectory. Seeing a street rat die, this is bad. But it's changed the trajectory of my life in a positive way, because life is what you make out of it.
So you mean to tell me, if I go and I find that kid, let him hug, take the teaching weird powers off, and I step on a rat, and I get deterred in school again, I'm going to be a published author?
No, because my village is not your village.
And people don't understand that. People don't understand that the support that works for me won't necessarily work for you. You know, what I need to get me through, I have a friend, she's like unbelievably blunt. She's like black and white. There are no gray areas. And she knows who I'm referring to. But if I tell her, hey, I'm thinking about this, she's like, have you lost your damn mind? You can't grow like that. But I don't like to hear it. But it's what I need to hear. And I always give her, Julie, I love you to death. I always give Julie praise. I always say, Julie, without you being a part of my village, I'm not here today. I'm not the level of success that I've been able to reach if she doesn't give me the blunt, honest truth. So you have anybody who's added some form of, I guess, change, right? Whether it be good, bad, ugly. What else?
When I visualize my village, I'm looking at an actual place. I'm thinking of structures that are built. Okay. And structures can be built by people, by you, by experiences you've had in life. So therapy is a very big structure.
And it's a part of your village.
In my village.
What does, I don't feel like it's fair for me to ask you what does it mean to you, but if you could describe it in 3 words, how would you describe therapy? In 3 solid words. Therapy is... I was practicing these questions for you. Therapy is knowledge. Mm-hmm.
Therapy is growth.
Therapy is growth.
And therapy is accessibility.
Right. And so we have growth, knowledge, and accessibility. And
but I mean, accessibility kind of goes into knowledge because you're accessing different parts of yourself.
You're right. But also being available for therapy is a whole different component. So how I also view therapy in like this little weird way is therapy to me shows that there's still hope for humanity because you're basically venting to a stranger.
Yeah, but
and this stranger,
people too.
And this stranger who doesn't know you from a hole in the wall, they're not there to help or fix. No. They're there to aid and support, right? Just give you don't have to take that advice, but they're there to just give you perspective, right? And I think part of also in your village that goes with the whole therapy thing is also perspective. Yes. Because how you view things, knowing when to view things, knowing just to say, you know what? This person isn't mad at me because of me. They just got stuff going on. Let me respect their space, and we'll reconvene later.
Yeah.
That to me is a very powerful source. So, listen, I want to tell you thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being, I guess, one of the first guests to be in like 2 out of the 3 aspects, because you actually had the life experiences and the education. We're not going to tell people how you used to make cement in the backyard. Because if I give you all 3 categories, like I'll just have to stop, the podcast there. But listen, we appreciate your growth. We appreciate everything you've been contributing, even to my village as a whole. Thank you just for sitting in this chair and allowing me to speak to you. And it's just like that. So thank you, Jasmine. Welcome to the village.